Hello ladies and gentlemen, I have decided to do another tech news. It's been a while since we've done one of these. I am putting my SimCity tutorial series on hiatus for a little while until they've actually sorted out some of the bugs within it. I've tried to resolve the transportation issue. I demolished some of the rail tracks going across the top of my city that you saw in the previous video that I did. But apparently that just gets rid of all your streetcars. I demolished the streetcar terminal, built another one, and no streetcars were coming out of it, so that's all completely messed up. So I've decided that I may put that on hiatus for a little while, just until they've sorted out some of the bugs that are still within that game. It's no good doing a tutorial series on something that's broken, really, because in couple of months time none of that stuff is going to be relevant, so I thought it's better for you guys if I put it on hiatus for a little while and then start it up again once most of this stuff has been sorted out and fixed. The game in the background of this one is Hitman Absolution. I recently purchased this on Steam because it was $5.99 I believe. I didn't quite have the funds to buy Bioshock Infinite, which I was going to purchase. Bioshock's not one of them games that I'm particularly interested in. The first one didn't really interest me all that much. The second one, same thing. But Infinite seems to be a little bit more my cup of tea than what the previous two Bioshocks were. But we'll see. Maybe I'll pick it up probably later on. So, tech news. For those of you who've forgotten what it's about, it's just my random ramblings about some of the technology stuff that's been floating around the internet as of late, and obviously other stuff as well, hence the name Tech News and Stuff. So first thing I want to talk about, the interwebs has been slowed under what's being called the biggest web attack ever. Millions of people around the world have been affected by slow internet speeds after an unprecedented attack. Basically, it all stemmed from a Dutch web hosting company. They caused disruption and slowdown of the internet, according to a non-profit anti-spam organization, basically for saying, look, you're hosting spam websites. So they decided, you know what, we're not going to take this shit, we're just going to slow everybody down. Bollocks to you. Now, this didn't just affect small websites, it's affected websites such as Netflix and that as well. But you know, it's one of them things. People dislike spam. I know I do. I've got so much security on this rig of mine that it's ridiculous, and I scan it once a week if possible, or if I'm feeling particularly under threat, then I'll go as far as to do it every day. But this spam's cyberbunker, basically, they are housed in a 5-story former NATO bunker. And it offers its website, offers its services to any website except for obviously the child pornography and anything related to terrorism and such like that. But obviously we all know that anyway. Unfortunately, the internet is full of those things, full of the sick people that decide to put stuff like that up. But they've decided that they've had enough. They went down on this Dutch company saying, look, you're hosting spam. Why are you doing this? Get rid of it. It's damaging people's enjoyment of surfing the web. It could even be possibly hosting malware and stuff like that, which then people end up getting access to your bank details and stuff if you get keylogging software on that. But if you are one of the people out there that are not too au fait with internet security and stuff like that, I ran McAfee for a while, and it's absolutely appalling. It's one of the bigger ones, don't get me wrong. They do a great job, but they tend to slow down your computer to a crawl when they start scanning. The McAfee software that I had previous to AVG, which I'm using now, which I will stress is absolutely brilliant, by the way. It doesn't slow me down whatsoever. Not well in comparison to McAfee. Anyway, McAfee had sort of like an on-demand scan thing, which it would constantly be scanning your computer for, And on my previous rig, my Alienware that I had, and I will say to you guys that are out there that are looking at Alienware systems and going, oh, I would like to own one of them. They're decent, they're high powered. Do not buy one under any circumstances. They've become a more affordable gaming machine now that Dell has taken them over, and then all this crap what's been happening with Dell, that Dell's now a publicly owned company. Dell's been bought out by somebody and all that. I should imagine that they're going to be brought down in price even more, but please, it's so much cheaper to either build your own or pay somebody a couple £100 to get one built for you. You'll get a much better system for the same price as what you pay for an Alienware with. The only thing obviously with Alienware is you get your warranties and everything like that, but if you build it yourself, you get your 12-month manufacturer's warranty. Some manufacturers even offer more than that on some of this stuff. We're getting a bit off the beaten track there a little bit, but yeah, I mean, something like this was bound to happen. Some web hosting company is bound to get all up in arms about these spyware people, these anti-spyware people, these anti-malware people, antivirus people. They're bound to get all up in arms when they start telling these web hosting companies, shut this website down, get rid of this, because at the end of the day, they're being paid for have that website hosted on their service. So it's basically like telling somebody, you may be getting paid £500 for do that, or the equivalent in your regional area, but don't do it because we don't want you to, because it's hampering our efforts. So I mean, it's understandable why they're a bit peeved off, but why they would absolutely jump out and say, well, you know what? Well, we're going to slow the old internet down. It's more like a child kicking his feet for being told not to do something. But it's a weird thing. The internet, who knows? Nobody knows about the internet, really. Second thing I'd like to talk about is, for the first time this year, it is thought that tablets such as your iPad, your Samsung Galaxies, your Sony Xperia Z tablet that's coming out, which I talked about in previous Let's Talk Tech and stuff, they're expected to outsell PCs this year. Now, obviously, tablets and everything like that are becoming massive. They're for people who are out and about on the move, and that they're not necessarily aimed at the PC market. A lot of people that own a tablet would have probably never have thought about buying an actual PC in the first place. A lot of people that I know of that own tablets either have low-end laptops or just use their phone for most of the stuff. I mean, because let's face it, phones are getting that advanced now that there's not much that some of the phones out there can't do at the moment. Obviously, for gamers such as myself and other people that probably are watching this video, they're not going to be something that we jump on straight away, but they are nice for when you're out and about. If you've got a job which involves you commuting quite a lot, if you use the train a lot, they are a nice bit of kit to have flowing around. But I don't own one personally myself. I've bought them for other people before, for Christmas and that, but they don't interest me. I mean, like I said in the previous Let's Talk, I possibly may buy the Sony Xperia Z when it comes out, because that does look really good. I mean, obviously with the Sony Bravia engine that they have running on most of their devices for the crisp colours and that, they look absolutely stunning. But it comes to the point of when it comes to the point of it being released, whether I can be bothered to spend the money on it, whether I think it's going to be worth it. Who knows? Maybe, but they're expected to sell over 190 million tablets this year, which most of them probably being around the Christmas time, when everybody, I mean, they're starting to get really big now, tablets are. I remember back in the day where a tablet was virtually just a laptop with a screen that spun round and it closed back down on itself. And they've started bringing those out again now. A lot of the is it the Windows, the Surface, I think is like that, isn't it, where you can spin the top round and close it back down on itself. That was what tablets were back in the day. I mean, they were basically laptops, and they weren't small either. They were quite bulky. But now that they've become smaller and smaller, that people seem to be getting into them, and all for it, really, all for it. It pushes the boundaries a bit further. It pushes the PC market a bit further as well, saying, well, what can we do to make people come back to PCs again and away from tablets? But we'll see. Maybe it's something that won't happen. I mean, obviously, gamers and hardcore gamers aren't going to be playing on tablets anytime soon. I can't imagine that, not in my lifetime anyway, that tablets are going to be anywhere near as powerful as a desktop PC, and probably never will be. But maybe one day the desktop PC will fade out and it will all be tablets and laptops and that. We'll see, we'll see. Something that's probably nice to keep an eye on. And the third thing I would like to talk about, this is for some of the Star Wars nerds out there that really like Star Wars, and to be quite honest with you, I'm not that fussed about Disney taking over the Star Wars series. I mean, look at some of the films that Disney have made. Disney makes some absolutely brilliant films. I mean, Wreck-It Ralph is a Disney film, and that's absolutely fantastic. John Carter from Mars, that was a very, very understated film. I watched it a few months ago now, and I thoroughly enjoyed that film. I think that the Disney trademark has got a bit of a crap name for no reason. It's become sort of like from back in the day, obviously when Disney just used to make kids films and little cartoony things and that. But Disney have started getting their hands out a little bit and getting them a bit dirty, and actually make some really, really good films. But anyway, it has been said that a life-size model of the Millennium Falcon is taking shape in Nashville. It's being helped along by fans from around the world. It's some men buy a kit car, others play video games, but somebody from obviously from Nashville, his name is Chris Lee, was searching for something else to do, something else to keep his mind occupied, and he decided that he was going to build a Millennium Falcon. Originally he was only going to make it a 5-foot scale model of it for a decoration for the house, but then he thought, you know what, sod that, why not go the whole hog? So he bought 88 acres in Nashville in 2005, with a view to obviously keeping the structure there once it was finished. But we'll see. Hopefully that thing becomes a massive tourist attraction. I can imagine that Disney will probably end up buying it off them and moving it to one of their parks, or probably end up building one of their own. But I can't imagine it's going to be as good as a fan-made structure. But it's 114 foot long, so that's how big it is supposed to be. So we'll have to keep an eye out for any pictures or anything that start cropping up around that. I mean, he's volunteered to do. Well, there was a student called Stinson Lenz who met Chris Lee on an online forum, and he volunteered to do the 3D modeling as part of his studying and that, and eventually they both got together and they've decided to actually put it all in full force and actually build the thing. I mean, that's going to be absolutely fantastic. I mean, that is, if anything, that is going to be a massive nerd attraction. It's a full, just think about it for a minute, a full-sized replica of the Millennium Falcon. That is just crazy. I mean, you got to think about it. If that thing's still standing in 100 years or so, maybe we can actually fit proper rockets to it and shit and actually fly it around. That's it for me for today. I will see you guys again next time. See ya!